I have to confess, this one feels weird, even for me, admittedly. This is something I never thought I would talk about, but fuck it, I'm bored, and also the idea of it does kind of intrigue me. Ever since I want to say the 70s raised late, and I wasn't alive back then, this is just stuff I've heard over the years. We always hear about, like, oh, Satanism, there's a satanic panic, which, by the way, one of the things that's destroying the ability for anyone to take what I'm about to talk to seriously is that panic, for the record. So fuck you, dipshits of the 1970s and 80s for making this hard to talk about. Seriously, anyway, is the idea of a satanic cult. Like satanic cults and the idea of them are weird, especially if you're a secularist, and I'm not that. I'm somewhere between agnostic and deist. But even to me, especially now, the idea of that is fucking weird. Like, how do you anyway, I recently found a video of some guys talking about this. It was like a podcast or whatever, and I'm not saying they're real. That's not the point. The point is, this is just to say, like, to kind of give a perspective of someone who's at least entertained the idea that it's possible. It's kind of like with secret societies. I'm not saying there aren't secret societies trying to manipulate the world from behind the scenes. I do believe that's possible. I mean, God knows the Illuminati does exist. Hell, the Gormagons exist. The Freemasons exist. The difference is, between all three of those, is the Freemasons, I give some leeway to. I do feel some gratitude to them for helping to create America. So I don't find the idea of a secret society being a far-fetched idea. I find the idea of a global spanning one that's manipulating every single fucking thing going on in day-to-day life, up to and including a fly farting in New Jersey being their handiwork. I find that idea kind of asinine, but the idea of, like, anyway, so it's similar to that with a satanic cult to me. That's why I want to talk about this. It's not that, in hindsight, it's not too weird to imagine something like that to exist, especially now, because once upon a time, this would be something I would look at and go, this is batshit insane to even consider to be serious. But ever since things like A Certain Island of a Man Who Definitely Did Not Kill Himself, and no, I am not suicidal, so if anything happens to me, you know what happened. And, oh, I don't know, certain elites talking about, I guess, drinking the blood of the innocent. Oh, wait, that's Hillary Clinton, never mind. Yeah, no, there's lots of, or the freak out parties of ditties, which, by the way, I remember when my mom told me about that recently, my response was something to the effect of, when she talked about baby oil, I think I said something to the effect of, no, 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 God, I can't get the mental image out of my head now. Thanks for that. Fuck. So it's not too weird to say there's a group out there doing some depraved shit, especially the stuff I heard this guy talking about. Like, he was talking about people who said they got out of certain groups. Now, granted, I have no idea who the fuck these people he's talking about are. And honestly, I am taking what their claims with so much salt that Locke could mistake it for his own fucking wife. But, yeah, there is a part of me that's at least wanting to entertain the idea that it's possible. Now, the thing is, the idea of a cult of Satanists being out there is not too far-fetched to me because, well, one, I'm into batshit stuff. Like, it could be like a mystery cult. Now, if you're not familiar with those or you just don't care about history because you find it boring as fuck, a mystery cult was something you would find back in the day in Greece and Rome, usually pertaining to either a specific god or a specific mortal figure, like Dionysus, Orpheus, the Orphic cult, or the cult of Mithridates. Like, it was usually specified to a singular god in a pantheon, or a mortal who held some significance, I suppose. If someone was to tell me that is kind of like what this Satanist cult was like, I could somewhat see that to be believable. And before you scoff at that, let's think of it this way: there's a certain demon that Christians do not like. His name is Moloch. Now, whether or not he was originally a Christian thing or not is beyond my scope of awareness, or, well, actually, yeah, no, he probably existed before Christianity because he was encountered by the Israelites and Romans, and this was probably before Christianity was mainstream. But yeah, there was at one point a group, the Canaanites, who sacrificed children to Moloch, or as I like to call him, the patron saint of Planned Parenthood. And some of the things they did would be considered satanic, or at the very least evil enough to where we wouldn't lose much sleep over calling them Satanists. Like, and And also, funny enough, when people first heard this story, people thought they were making it up. They thought either the Romans or the Israelites were bullshitting everyone. They were just shit-talking their enemies. But then they found some stuff from that area that was like, holy fuck. Holy fuck, they actually killed kiddies. They killed children. They killed the chillins. It was like that. And they would also do things like slit a kid's throat and wear a smiling ceramic mask while you burned in a fire, which, that's horrifying. I'm not going to lie. That's fucked up. And 1 second. Although, if there is one thing that kind of makes me go, that's possible, like, I can understand people being not apoplectic, but very skeptical to borderline antagonistic to the idea of this, because it goes back to what I said earlier about the Satanic panic in the 70s or 80s, like the thing that Dungeons and Dragons had to deal with for a while, back when they were underground and all the stupid fucking normies weren't invading it like a cancer and a plague. No, a cancerous plague. Fuck normies. Anyway. You had all this shit, and then that happened, and a lot of dumb things happened in this time. Like, a daycare center was accused of being part of a satanic cult that was struggle snuggling the children, let's just say, the chillins. For once, I will say think of the chillins, even though that makes me sound like Helen Lovejoy. Now, the children did... some of them did say some fucked up shit happened, although later on it turns out some of this may have actually been bullshit, and by may have been, I'm in that camp. Because they would also say things like Chuck Norris got involved. So the Satanic Panic, it makes it very hard for anyone who has a good memory, or at least not the memory of a fucking gnat and actually knows recent history, to kind of have second, third, and fourth thoughts about the idea of a satanic cult. So I will grant you that point. I will begrudge you that point, ladies and gentlemen, but yeah, that's the only thing that kind of gives me pause to go, yeah, it's possible some of this might be bullshit. In life, it's kind of 50-50 at this point. But again, weird things have happened recently that kind of give me pause to scratch my head and wonder if I've been bullshit on a different level. So it's not exactly like there isn't a occurrence where something like that happens, although the things that this supposed escapee claims happen does have me kind of scratching my head for a bit, because well, one of the things they said was they would have children fight other fucking children. Now, I'm looking at that and thinking, okay, that's fucked up. But then you hear that it's all stuff like what happened on a certain island with a Mr. Jeff, and no, not Dahmer. Although at this point I kind of wish it was, because at least then there'd be some more humor in it with him eventually having his head bashed in with a pipe by a guy who he annoyed the fuck out of. But yeah, so yeah, that is weird. I will grant you, it's pretty weird that, and normally I would not ever take this fucking seriously, but again, recent events do kind of give me pause to think, hold up, wait a minute, is this possible? Like, that's all I'm saying. There's that, and also, like, and to tie this back to what I said earlier about, like, the idea of a secret society, only it's multiple secret societies or some such. Based on some of the fucked up stuff they said, I would say it's similar to that, where it's like, I don't know if I believe of a global satanic order doing this shit, although I do think it's possible, or at the very least, I would be open to the idea that there are satanic cults out there that are like, kind of like cells. Like you have terrorist cells, assassin cells, or whatever, and maybe they coordinate or interact because they have either similar goals or interests. Although, some of these fuckers, if they are Satanists, I don't think they're actual Satanists. And by that, and no, I don't mean like, that's not in the whole, like, that's not true Satanism. I mean, like, they probably go along with Satanism because it falls in line with their deviant fetish. Now, some of them probably are true believers. Like, we do have actual Satanists in the world, or people who claim to be Satanists, or go by the name of Satanists. Like, there's the Church of Satan, made by a man who is I believe the word I heard was a meanie poo-poo head who just stole from everyone, Lavar, or Laval, whatever. Like, yeah, no, they're edgelords. They're shitty fucking edgelords. Like, it's one thing to be an edgelord. There's at least some spectacle in that. These fuckers aren't even that. They're basically like edgelord atheists, I'm willing to bet. Either that or they do worship the devil, in which case I have to ask what the logic is, because you still acknowledge that there's a God, and also that the devil is his bitch, more or less. That's the part that makes no sense here. It's like, why would you worship something that, one, is evil and tortures you for all fucking eternity, and is also one day going to have his shit pushed in by the Almighty, by the man upstairs himself? This makes no sense. Jews for Jesus makes more sense than this crap. The plot to... Oh, God, there's a joke in here somewhere, but I can't even think of one. This makes no sense. Like the whole narrative that fans are toxic narrative and Russian bots are why the sequel trilogy failed. That narrative makes more sense than this shit. That was batshit insane. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm calming down. And there have been weird things. Like, we have seen, like, groups and religious stuff in the past that have done fucked up shit. Like, not even Christianity. Like, Christianity actually tries to at least avoid that stuff on intention. Some fucked up stuff has been done by Christians. I don't deny that, but yeah, you'll hear certain, like, Lore Lodge, who sometimes I like them, sometimes I want to rip my hair out because they push certain narratives, like the fact that Kennedy was killed by a man in a grassy knoll, or was that Wendigoon, or there was one of them said, like, oh yeah, no, there's no way he got that shot with a bolt action. But yeah, one time he said, like, there was this one group in, I want to say, it was on some island where the daughters of noble houses would be sent to be, and I believe the word he used was sacred prostitutes, to which I will now quote Aiden 2. Wow. Carthaginians were really capable of saying we live in a society. So it's not too weird to think there's a cult that's, and also underground. That's the other thing. A group that stays on the down low, keeps themselves with a low profile. That is also not too weird. I mean, commies did that in the 40s and 50s, although they were slightly more open. So, yeah, I found a way to work in communism here. Bite me. So my question is, okay, let's say there is a satanic cult. Are we sure it's one cult and just not a bunch of other cults and a bunch of deviants who just happen to have similar goals? I mean, that's kind of what happened with the brown shirts during the 40s. Like, at first, the commies and the Nazi party, they didn't get along at first, but then they realized, wait a minute. We both want to take over Germany. Why are we fighting? Like, I didn't see it being that. That's just my guess, anyway. And that's about as far as I got with the planning. And by the way, and when I say planning, that is in massive air quotes. Yeah, no, that's it. Have a nice day, and Yamiro hit and all that.